Guys, this is a tutorial on how to use SQLite with Electron. I noticed that there weren't much videos on how to do this, so I decided to do it. So let's get into it. And to get started, you need two applications, a code editor and a database reader, so you can see the information you're inserting into your SQLite database. So for the code editor, I'm using VS Code, as you can see, and for the database reader, I'm using dbeaver, which is the best one I've found. You can find it for free online. So now that you got it, let's get started. The first thing you need to do is open terminal in VS Code or your code editor, or you can do this in terminal in CMD, and then you have to run npm init to initialize the npm package. For the options that pop up, just click enter on all of them except for the entry point, which for an Electron app has to be main.js, which is where the main process is going to run our application. So just hit enter for all of them. It doesn't really matter for this tutorial. And we got our package.json, and we need to, now that we have initialized our npm package, we need to install some npm packages. So the first one we need to install is and save deps electron and electron rebuild, which is used for rebuilding non-native packages such as SQLite into Electron native packages. So install that, open a new terminal, and then install two more packages. npm install SQLite 3, which is our database, and then sequelize, which is the ORM we're going to use to write our SQL queries, and then sequelize CLI, which is really good for generating just basic sequelize files, such as the models and the migrations and all that. So hit enter on that too. This is still running. While all of this is running, let's set up our file structure basically. So make a new main.js, make a renderer.js, which is where our renderer process will be running, and make a index.html, which will basically hold our index files, and finally make a preload.js, which basically houses it has access to both the renderer.js and the main.js, and it acts as a communication channel between the two, so it can send native node environments to the renderer.js. Okay, so while the code is still, while the npm packages are still getting installed, let's write some of our code. So let's write the index.html code. Let's do a basic index.html code, and then let's create our form, which will be housing the data backend. So first, let's make our database. I just noticed that we haven't made our database, so let's just call it mydb.db. Very simple. And then let's go back to index.html, and then let's make that form. So we'll give our form an ID so that it can get called inside the renderer.js. Let's name it basic form, and then let's just make an input of type text. Let's make 2 of them, and then just name them name and the ID. I don't think we need the ID, but okay, let's do name 1, and then format it for our second one. Let's do post and post 1. Simple. Now we have a basic HTML file. Let's go to our main.js. The code that needs to go into the main.js is just boilerplate code that you can get from the Electron documents. So I will just paste it here for the sake of saving time. And so basically what it's doing is just initializing our app and our browser window, and then creating a window. So if now we go to package.json and we add I don't have Electron in my dependencies, which is weird. So let me just run them separately. Maybe that will fix it. Okay, while it's running, let's just assume I had Electron in my dependencies. We have to make a start script, and whenever we say npm start, we're going to run Electron. Basically, that's what this code is doing. And then right now we don't have Electron, so I can't show you guys what would happen. So let me just install Electron, rebuild. Oh, finally I got Electron. Okay, Electron rebuild. While that is running, let me show you what npm start is going to do. See, it made a window, and we have our two inputs that we made in our index.html. Now let's just initialize our sequelize CLI so that we can get some more boilerplate. So we just have to run npx sequelize CLI init, and then that's just gonna generate a config, migration, models, and then zeros. For the sake of this tutorial, we're not gonna be looking at zeros and migrations. So let's just go to config and then rename it to config.js, and basically just delete most of this. Yeah, let's just delete all of this, and then let's just export the necessary information for establishing the connection. So just do module exports and then copy module exports equals, and then just copy the following. Let's just change this to the name of our database, which is mydb.db, and then everything else will be null since this is a SQLite database. So save that, and then since we changed the boilerplate sequelize CLI gave us, we have to change our index.js, which was basically connected to the config.json file. As you can see here, now we changed it to config.js file. Just get rid of that, get rid of the env because we don't need that either. Okay, get rid of the env, and yeah, basically get rid of this. Let's sequelize and that, and this and that finally, and then just change this to a const sequelize, which will create the sequelize variable. And then, okay, basically what this code is doing, this index code, it's going through our models, and we don't have any models in our models folder right now, but it's going through our models, and then it's gonna export them through the db variable, basically, and then we will have access to it in any other file we want. So just save it as that and go to terminal. Let me clear this, and then what you need to do is generate the models, basically. So we say mbx sequelize cli model columns generate dash name, and then you put the name of your table. So let's say post, and then dash attributes, which is basically the columns of your table. You say we had two inputs right in our index.html, so let's just say name, and then column, it's a string, and then comma, posts, and then column, it's a string, and then we hit enter, and that's going to generate a model of our table, our post table, for us in the models file. And there it goes. So now that we have models, let's get into basically connecting SQLite to our Electron app. So to establish the connection, first we need to go to dbfer and right click and create connection, new connection, then choose our dialect, which is SQLite. Double click it, say open for the path, so that we can go to our database file, and mine is right here. Just double click it and say finish, and that's going to create a connection with this, right? So go back. Okay, now that it's fully connected, you need to go to main so that we can sync our sequelize, and you need to require sequelize, and we are destructuring it from our db variable in our index right here. We could do this too. We could call the db variable from require and models, right? We could do that too, and then we could sync that by saying inside our window.create, inside here we could say db.sequelize and call it like that, but we're going to make it simpler and just destructure it when we're requiring it. So just say sequelize and then change this back to sequelize, and then .sync, right, .then, and then an arrow function like that, and then we can just say console.log, so we can say the connection has been established with the database. Connection established. or let's just say synced, right? And now if we go to terminal and say npm start, it should basically console.log connection synced. Let's wait for it. Boom, connection synced. So now we know that, and it says a new table has been created. So if we go to dbeaver and say refresh, and then we go to tables, we'll see our post table that we made with the model. So now that we know the connection is working, it's just a matter of just making the right sequelize queries so that it can fit our application. And let's make a new folder called controllers, which will basically handle our functions. And I like to do it this way. You could just do it in a file inside of here. I like to organize my applications like this so that it can be easier to read later on. And you just make post controllers or whatever you want .js, and we're going to get const sequelize equals require. We're basically going to require the necessary packages. Let me do this. Let's also require IBC main from Electron, which is how we'll be receiving our information from the render process. So just say require Electron, and then we can write a quick function const, let's just say new post, and then just go IBC main, call IBC main dot on, and then name it whatever, new post. I'll just name it new post. Basically IBC main kind of works like how channels work in socket.io or WebSockets, and you basically create a channel, the IBC main, and then you give the channel a name, and then you can send information from the render process to that channel, and the channel will receive the information, and vice versa. You can call event.send and then send information from the main process to the what is it called, to the render process, and like it goes like that. So just say event, it takes an event, and let's just say data for now. So call it like this. Let's call it an arrow function, and then for now let's just leave it at that because we don't have the data. There's nothing sending the data. So what we need to do is just export this. Export it for now. Exports dot module equals new post. Basically just export it. We can receive it in the main. We can import it inside the main. Const, we'll have to call post controller and then require from controllers controllers slash post controllers. And basically we can run that after we sync sequelize. So just say post controllers, which is this dot our the name of our function, which is here, this new post. And that's basically gonna run that function after sync and sequelize. So okay, because we don't have the data right now, let's go to our index.html and add a script src equals renderer.js, and then let's go to our renderer.js, and inside of our renderer.js we need to require a package called IPC renderer, which we can basically use to send information and receive information from the main process. And then let's just say require from Electron, right? And then let's just let's basically get our form, and let's just, what was it called? Let me see. So now all we need to do is basically get our form from the index.html, and let's copy this ID, go back, say sign up form equals document dot query selector, and then our ID. Basically, now that we have our sign up form, now that we have our form in a variable, let's write a function. I forgot to create a button for our form so that we can click it when we submit it, so just add that if you haven't added it already. Get the information, the form data, and then send it to our main process, which is gonna run it through sequelize and then insert it into our database. So first of all, let's prevent the default, and then let's say const form data equals new form data, and then sign up form. That's gonna get the data from that, and then let's make our let's basically destructure the form data into the name, and then const posts equals form data dot post, and that's it. Now we can, right, let me see. Now we can send that data to our main process. So say ipc.renderer.send, and then what we need to put here is the channel name. So if you go back to our post controller, our channel name is new post, and then we just need to put new post here, and then the data here. So let's just say name, comma, posts. So now we're sending that data to the backend. So now that we are sending our user data to the main process, let's add a event listener to our sign up form. So say sign up form dot add event listener, and then it should be a submit event listener, and when it's clicked, we're basically going to execute our sign up function. So say sign up function, and that's going to execute our sign up function. So now we are basically sending a name and a post to our post controller. So now that we know what the data is, we can just say const name equals, basically destructure it, dot name, and then const posts equals data dot posts, data dot posts, and then this has to be an async function. So wrap those two around parentheses and then say async, which will save us so much headache later on. So here's the trickiest part. What makes sequelize different in Electron than when it's in, let's say, an Express app, is that we need, when you're calling the model, when you're calling your model, you need to call it inside the IPC main function. So we need to basically call our sequelize, and then you have to call it like this. It took me a while to figure this out, and I honestly don't know why this is how it is. So if you know, please let me know, because I have no idea. And since we have a data type over here, we need to require data type from sequelize. So just say data types and then require sequelize. So if you have any idea why this is the case, just let me know. So now that we have our name and our posts, we can just insert it into, the third problem happens in our post dot model create, and it happens because sequelize automatically makes our table name plural. So we need to say freeze table name true and post, and then that's gonna into their respective attributes, respective columns actually. So let me just see what they were called. And I just noticed our post name is capital, so we need to change it in the post controller. And name and posts, okay, so you can just say name, and then for posts just say posts. So okay, let me change my posts to a capital P and do this, and that's gonna create a new post. So let's just put this in a try and catch block, which is gonna make it easier for us to debug if anything's wrong, right? And let's just do that, console.log the error, and then just do this. Okay, so now that we finished, it's the moment of truth. Let's see if it worked or not. Save this and then just terminate the running window and rerun it, because we changed the main process. We need to rerun it every time. And so there were a couple of minor things wrong with the code, and we're going to go through all of them and fix them so that the code works. We are importing sequelize from model when it should be models. The second problem is that we're using a wrong exporting code. So instead of writing exports.model, write model.exports equals and then the function name, which in this case is new post. Our fourth problem has to do with our preload.js, and this is happening because I am using require inside of here, as you can see, and there is not a require in the renderer process. Basically what we need to do is make require available to our renderer.js, and if you remember, preload can make certain things that are only available in the main.js available to our renderer.js. So let's go to our preload and write the following code in there. Window.require equals require, and after writing this, we can basically use require inside of our renderer.js. Okay, next you need to go to main to disable our context isolation. So just say make it false and then node integration, make that true. The last problem is actually two problems. We just need to go to the renderer and just need to get this and say name 1, and then we need to get this too, instead of just thinking it was structured within the form data. So just say post 1 and then double check with the names too. Refresh this, force reload, and then run it one last time, and then see if it was properly executed, and boom, it was. So there you go. That's how you connect SQLite with an Electron application. I don't think there's any other videos that show you how to do it this simply, so please subscribe and give this video a like if it was helpful. Thank you.